Hello and welcome to the first part of our series, Doing More with Less. My name is Christina Jones. I am the owner of BazaarGardening, a local West Hartford-based gardening business that focuses on creating pollinator-friendly urban gardens, small space food gardens, and also using household items to upcycle and make new gardening and home resources while removing items from our waste stream. So today's workshop is going to focus on upcycling paper towel rolls and toilet paper rolls. So if you've never heard the term upcycling, you may have heard of creative reuse. They're used interchangeably to describe a process of taking household items that are either past their prime or still usable, but maybe you don't need it in the same way, to give these items a second life and reuse them or upcycle them into another use, improve their function, but basically remove them from the waste stream or the recycling stream. About 91% of plastics that are put into recycling don't make it through the process completely due to contamination or improper recycling practices. So removing these items from that system altogether before they make it in there will help to reduce landfill items and also reduces the stress on the system when it is working properly. So for our project today, you'll need paper towel rolls or toilet paper rolls, paint if you want to use different colors. If you have the white paper towel rolls or toilet paper rolls, those do add a nice contrast to the brown rolls, and you wouldn't need to paint. If you just have these, go ahead and paint them. I like to paint before I start cutting, so if you end up at the end of this project thinking you want to do that, just make sure you do that step first. You don't have to use white. I like white just because it adds a nice, simple, plain contrast. Other options include metallics. Here's just a little sample. With fall coming up, something like this copper would be a great color to introduce. Or if you want to kind of keep it neutral but natural looking, you could add a green. Okay. Other items we're going to use today include scissors. I like to use both straight edge scissors and some textured pinking shears to make sure that we give some texture without a lot of effort, just to give some visual contrast to the finished product. Additionally, you can also add items like buttons or beads or ribbons if you want to decorate. And what we're going to end up with today, first will be a very simple chain like this that can either be used as a garland or as a wreath or just a simple wall decor. This will be the basis of our project today, and it's very easy to take this and turn it into any other kind of decorative item that you wish to make. Because it's still summer and it's still hot, and because we all need some flowers in our life right now, the finished, or the one step further project, if you will be this very small daisy feature. Okay, so to start, the first thing that we do is we need to get our petals for our chain. And you can see the chain is made up from cutouts that represent a more leaf-like cluster, and then the actual flower petals. And you can see the difference here between the straight edge scissors and the pinking shears. And I like to make the flowers in both of those options because, again, then you've got contrast in the flower clusters. So the first step is very simple. You get your scissors, you get your tube, and simply cut. So to start, we're going to make a leaf cluster with 3 petals. And then I'll flower. For the flower, I'm going to switch to my pinking shears. Now, if you're a scrapbooker, then you know that pinking shears can come in all kinds of patterns. You could use a triangular edge, a nice scalloped edge, any option that you have. So I'm just going to cut through. And when you do change your texture, you do want to make sure you cut the edge one time on the very edge to start that serrated edging. So 2, 3. This piece can be a little tough depending on the size of your roll. I don't recommend using leftover rolls from saran wrap or aluminum foil just because those tend to be very thick and hard to cut. And when you're cutting, don't be too concerned about keeping the same size and shape for each section, because the variance in thickness is what makes it look more natural. Nature isn't perfect, nature has variations, and so if some are skinnier and some are thicker, that's just going to make it look more natural. Okay, so there's 2 options for the glue that you could use to put these pieces together. My preference for the cardboard is just to use a very simple tacky glue. You can get this at any craft store, order it online on Amazon. If you have the one that is clear, that's fine. Any kind of craft glue that's appropriate for gluing paper will do. The other option you could use, if you have it available, is a hot glue gun. I find that this is more useful for later in more advanced projects. If you want to add a button, for example, if you want to add a ribbon or beads, just to give some strength to that bond between different materials. Please, please, please be careful with these. That glue is very hot. I don't want you to burn your fingers. I don't want, make sure you turn it off so it doesn't start a fire hazard, and please be very careful. So the first thing we're going to make is our leaf petal cluster, and we're simply going to take one of our leaves, the glue, put it on the edge here, take your other piece of the section and hold them together. I like to hold them together for about 10 to 20 seconds until you feel it start to bond. It can get messy, but we should all be washing our hands a lot more these days anyway, so wash your hands, stay clean, and stay healthy. So then we'll take the glue again and add it to this edge here. Take our third petal piece and again hold that all together. Just until it starts to stick on itself. And then we can put that aside to dry while we make the flowers. So for the flowers, we use 5 pieces. That will give that very recognizable, simple daisy flower style looking appearance. And I always like to work in odd number pieces. It just is visually more appealing and it looks a bit more natural because nature isn't even. So I have my 5 serrated petal pieces here. And I'm simply going to continue to glue them together. So I've covered glue on both the little edges here. Take one petal, take the other petal, and hold them together like that. And this is again where the difference in maybe thickness of the cuts will make it look a bit more natural. So just keep adding petals in. And you'll feel sections start to bond together. And then you can just move on and push harder on the new sections to make sure that they also stick. Okay. When I add the 5th petal, I like to put glue on both edges it will be touching, just to give a bit of a stronger bond, and also to be able to fix it in at a slightly deeper position to give that kind of star-like appearance that we see in a lot of flowers. So again, just keep it pushed down. If you're using hot glue, it will affix and set much quicker. But again, please be careful, it's very hot. I don't want you to burn your fingers. Okay. So then we end up with our flower piece and our petal piece. And we're going to glue those together to start creating that chain. It's up to you how many clusters you want to do of petals and flowers together. If you're doing a wreath, you may just do all flowers to keep it more uniform. If you're making a garland like this or a wall hanging, having a little bit of variation, you can see we have a cluster of leaves, a cluster of flowers with some leaves mixed in, and then leaves again for a more vine-like appearance. That is completely up to you and your aesthetic and how you would like to arrange it. So I like to take a leaf piece, put some of the glue on both edges here, take that edge, squeeze it down just a little to make it narrower, and push it in between some petals. That will start to give it that kind of vine-like appearance. And we're just going to hold that while it sets. Okay, so once you fix that together and let it set, the next step is just to continue making sections like this. So I have another one here that I've already put together. And it's, again, up to you how you want to arrange them. I'm going to kind of connect these with some leaves in the middle for right now, but you definitely could put the flowers together and make just a very simple hanging with the leaves and the flowers in the center. So again, we're going to take this section, and it's very much just a matter of building onto the sections like a real flower chain that you would make. So I'm going to affix this petal to the leaf section. If you were making a wreath, you could also do this pattern, leaf, petal, or you could just do all leaf or all flower. Again, that's up to you. Also depends on the season. If you're looking to start your fall decor, leaves might be better with some orange, red, brown paint on them. Okay. So you can see that if this is what you're looking to do, you can just keep building on that. And again, if you look at this other example, I've mixed some smooth edge flowers with the crinkle cut flowers to give some texture within those clusters also. So we're going to set this aside and let it dry. If you're looking just to do the rustic flower chain or a very simple wreath, just keep doing this process until you get the length you want, and then you're done. If you want to make it a little bit more spring-like or summer-like for now, adding some buttons and some paint really can change the whole appearance of it. So we've gone from this very simple rustic paper chain to this very lovely daisy-like wall feature just by taking this and adding the paint and the buttons. If you have the paper towel rolls that are already white, you can skip the next step. If not, you can do two things here. You could either make the brown piece all finished and then paint it, or what I like to do is to paint the roll beforehand to kind of make half of it go quicker. And then when we cut it, and I'm going to cut with the serrated one for this example. When you cut it, you have two options. You can either leave inside unpainted to give a bit of contrast, or once you have the section assembled with your white on the outside, you can go ahead and just paint the inside. So you can see that in this example, I painted the inside and the outside of the flowers. For what I'm making right now, I'm going to leave the outside white of my painted tube, but leave the inside pieces brown. Again, even with just brown and white, it's very simple to have variations within the piece just to give some contrast. 2, 3, 4. Okay, so make that very pretty daisy flower. Add your white paint. If you don't have yellow buttons, any kind of bead, a pom-pom, if you have yellow paper that you could scrunch up into a ball and glue in the center will work. There's no rules for upcycling, and your imagination is your limit. Any item that you find a way to creatively incorporate is absolutely perfect. And the more you can use from what you already have, the more effective your upcycling will be. So to make this daisy, again, we're just going to glue our petals together. Start adding these pieces. And if you do have a hot glue gun, this is where I recommend warming it up while you're getting these ready. For the demonstration right now, I'm just going to use tacky glue for the button. But again, anytime you're adding a heavier decorative item or mixing your materials, that hot glue gun sometimes just adds a bit of extra support. And those are very easy to find at any craft store, Target, Amazon. Take advantage of the online deliveries. If you're local to West Hartford, Jerry's Artorama will also carry all of these. And that's a great local business to support. They are on New Britain Avenue, I believe, right near the Elmwood Senior Center. Okay, so we're just going to give this a second to dry. And while we're doing that, I'm going to put it down and get my buttons ready. Okay, so for my daisies, I like to use buttons. I was lucky enough to have a whole set of buttons like this donated to me. You may already have your own kind of button collection from over the years. If not, it's very easy to buy these in colors that you like. Or if you're on Facebook, join one of the local recycle sites or buy nothing sites. People are always getting rid of great items that are perfect for these kind of crafts. Saves you money. It takes those items out of the waste stream. It gets them out of that person's house and everybody's happy. So to make the daisies, once you have your flower shape here, you can kind of shape it how you want. And then again, typically I would use the hot glue gun. I'm not in a setup for that right now at home, but So I'm just going to use my tacky glue, which also will work. It will just take a bit more patience. Put a dab of glue right in the center. Take your button. Hold it onto there. And there you have your first little daisy. So for this little piece that I made 3 of those, just the daisies, and put them together. It's a very kind of simple wall hanging you can see there. Just some nice contrast. It does have the white on both edges of the petals. Again, you don't need to do that if you like the contrast of the brown and the white. And this is a painted tube. And again, the white, all white toilet paper tubes will have white on both. So if you have those, you don't have to paint. So you can either go ahead and make 3 of these daisies, and then again, using the technique we had before of just putting glue on a petal, pushing it into another flower, you can make a nice little 3-piece like this. If you wanted to, you could continue with 7 daisies and create a round wreath. Another option, if you wanted to add another color, is paint the leaves, a leaf section green. And you can start adding that into the chain also. So you can see that adds a nice bit of color. And there you have it. That is a very simple way to reuse items that we have, especially in the pandemic of 2020 with our paper towel stocks, and add a little bit of color to your walls. You know, get creative. Think about fall wreaths, fall leaves. Christmas is coming up, Hanukkah is coming up. Whatever decorations that, you know, might not be as accessible or that you want to try out and get crafty in this time, the sky's kind of the limit. And again, with this, you can take any combination of these pieces, decorate them however you want. Sometimes I like to take ribbon or yarn, if you have it, and wrap it around the paper towel after it's been cut. So instead of having paint, you have wrapped yarn around it. So thank you for joining me today. I hope that you have fun decorating your paper towels and toilet paper rolls into wall decor. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. My email is Clasina, CLASINA, at BazaarGardening, BazaarGardening.org. Happy creating!